few days ago, the lovely people at Arrtx sent me a Christmas hamper full of wonderful gifts, including this lazy Yoga Labubu blind box, which gave me an idea. Let's see if we can create our very own Yoga Labubu Pop Mart style art toy and paint it using only these Arrtx acrylic marker pens. Thank you to Arrtx for sponsoring this video. First things first, whilst I draw up my Yoga Labubu design, let me introduce you to the marker pens that I'll be using for today's project. This set of Arrtx direct liquid ink markers contains 60 highly saturated colours, all neatly packaged within a tiered storage box. After giving them a shake to ensure that the liquid ink is well mixed, the direct ink system found inside the body of each marker pen provides a smooth and stable flow, allowing you to achieve outstanding coverage on various surfaces. Each pen also features a versatile brush nib that's perfect for both detail work and sweeping strokes. They're extremely satisfying to use on sketchbook paper, so using these on a 3D printed surface later on should be interesting. Okay, let's talk about my Yoga Labubu design choices. For the pose, I've decided to test my skills and put this character into a dancer yoga position, but since I like to imagine that Labubu is fairly clumsy and far from flexible, I'm going to make her form look less than perfect. This is also going to be my first standing up Pop Mart style art toy, so I'm really hoping that she won't fall over. And now, to match the pastel colour scheme of this yoga blind box, I'm going to give this Labubu girl some blue hair and a trendy blue outfit. This design on the crop top is meant to be a Labubu mouth, but it could also be interpreted as a closed eye, which works well for a yoga-themed character. And I know, having two sets of ears like this does look kind of silly, but I can't resist giving this girl some iconic Labubu ears. To really emphasize the yoga theme that I'm going for, let's design a yoga mat for this Pop Mart style art toy to stand on. Giving this yoga mat a spiky zigzag pattern could complement my Yoga Labubu's haircut and teeth, plus the pink colour scheme nicely contrasts the blue. Now, after outlining this design with the black marker pen and drawing on a giant sweat drop, my Yoga Labubu design is now complete. So let's jump into Nomad Sculpt on my iPad and transform it into a 3D model. I'm going to keep this fairly short and sweet as the process is almost identical to my previous Pop Mart style art toys. The main difference is that this Yoga Labubu is going to be standing up. After forming the limbs, hands and feet out of various tubes and spheres, and creating a basic yoga mat from a cube, we can now start to mold the clothing directly onto this Labubu's body. For the flared leggings, I'm increasing the lower radius of the leg tubes and the lower section of the torso to form some trousers. And then for the crop top, I'm simply extruding the shape onto the body using the mask tool. Right, let's move on to the head. After shaping some spheres into Labubu ears and putting them into place, we can draw on the hair using the mask tool and extract it. Then, once extracted, we can drag out this separated hairpiece to give it a bit more shape. Now, all we need to do is indent the ears, extrude the eyes, carve away the irises, and place this Yoga Labubu's head onto her body, ready for 3D printing. Roughly 4 hours later, our Labubu has fully printed, so let's peel her away from the print bed, remove the supports, and get to work on the surface preparation. And I know, surface preparation is far from exciting, but it really is the key to achieving a clean final result. After filling in the support defects with Milliput epoxy putty and allowing it to cure, I'm now sanding everything down with various types of sandpaper. Then, once all of the dust has been rinsed off, we can prime this Labubu lady using both brush-on primer and spray primer. Using two different types of primers should not only smooth out the layer lines, but this white spray primer should allow the liquid ink markers to adhere well and show up nicely. Speaking of which, it's finally time to start painting this Yoga Labubu, so let's get to work on the head. If you've seen my previous Arrtx marker video, then you'll know that it's much better to paint on multiple thin layers of ink rather than one thick one. These initial layers are always a bit sheer since the ink has to settle onto a smooth surface, but once it's dry and you add some more ink on top, the colours really come to life. I'm also finding these markers very satisfying to use. They feel super juicy and slick. Now, after filling in the whites of the eyes, which is hardly visible on this white primer, we can move on to the blue hair, layering up the ink just like we did for the skin tone. The brush nibs on these markers are perfect for reaching into smaller areas, like the sides of the hair and the underside of the bangs. Okay, let's move on to the eyes and use the black acrylic marker to fill them in. This is one of my favourite steps when painting my Pop Mart style art toys. There's something extremely satisfying about lining the eyes like this. Plus, I love the fact that this vibrant Arrtx ink dries to a smooth, glossy finish. It really makes these finer details look printed on. As you can see within my original Yoga Labubu drawing, there are lots of lines across the hair and the trousers, and this is for a good reason. Since Pop Mart's Labubu is covered in fur, I knew that I had to capture that same effect within my own art toy. So, using short lines to mimic 2D fur was the next best thing. It kind of reminds me of the Peanut Sunny Angel. I love it. Anyway, let's draw these lines onto our Labubu's head using a blue pencil to mark out their placement and a dark blue acrylic marker to fill them in. Now, after adding the blue inner ear sections, the nose, the mouth, and a comically large sweat drop, we can move on to this Yoga Labubu's body. First things first, let's lay down the skin tone just like we did for the head. I like to wait for each layer of ink to fully dry before applying the next, as it prevents the colours from smudging and lifting. Now, we can start to fill in the light blue flared leggings. Since working with Arrtx, I've found their acrylic markers to be extremely useful when painting my sculptures. Instead of pausing my progress to mix up the perfect shade of model paint, I can simply grab a pre-mixed acrylic marker pen and get to work. They have well and truly found pride of place within my studio as I reach for them more and more. Right, these flared leggings have now been fully coloured in, so let's fill in the crop top. Steps like these are exactly why I like to mould my Pop Mart style art toys clothes directly onto their bodies. Having raised painting guides like this helps so much during the painting process. Also, reusing colours throughout an art toy's design is a great way to achieve a balanced colour scheme. I've made both the crop top and the inner ear colour slightly darker than the hair and trousers for some nice tone variation. Now that the flared leggings have fully dried, we can begin to paint on the same short hair details as before, and I'm fully aware that this makes it look like she has super hairy legs, but I kind of love that. It's very true to Labubu. Right, all that's left to add now is the smiling Labubu crop top decal using the white acrylic marker pen, and this is quite possibly my favourite detail. Okay, both the head and the body have now been fully painted, but this Labubu would not be complete without her yoga mat, so let's get to work on it. When I created my 3D model, I made a yoga mat with a foot indent, just in case the model couldn't stand up, but for some reason it printed really badly. So, to work smarter instead of harder, I've reprinted it, and I've also used white filament this time as it will make the pink paint show up better. Let's stick it onto a paint stirrer to avoid smudges and colour it in. Okay, it's now time to paint on this yoga mat's zigzag pattern. If I was using any other paints for this, it would have been much smarter to use the lighter shade of pink first. But since these Arrtx Direct Liquid Ink markers are so opaque, I have no doubt that this lighter pink will layer on top nicely. Oh, and if uneven patterns infuriate you, look away now. I definitely messed this up a bit since the end zigzag is mostly cut off. All of the components for this Yoga Labubu Pop Mart style art toy are now complete, so let's stick them all together and see how it has turned out. And here she is. Our Yoga Labubu is now complete, and I am very happy with how she looks. Considering that this is my first time making a Pop Mart style art toy that stands up, I'm very impressed with how stable she is. Plus, the paint job quality that we have managed to achieve with these Arrtx direct liquid ink markers is fantastic. They have been extremely fun to use. A big thank you to Arrtx for sponsoring today's video. If this project has inspired you to try out some Arrtx acrylic markers for yourself, then please feel free to check out the links within my description. I even have a discount code for you to use, which in turn supports my channel. Right, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to see more projects like this one, and I will see you in the next video.